What's going on, guys? Oh, man, it has been a week. It's been a week just trying to do this live stream, and YouTube is telling me that the stream status is bad, but I'm looking at it and I don't see that. So hopefully it looks good. As always, as I always tell you guys, if something's up, if you can't see or hear me, um, I'll try to fix it, I guess. But I can only do so much on the fly. And yeah, so this whole week has been kind of a real weird week. And I'm sure at least some of you have watched the video where I talked about Fullscreen, my MCN, dropping me. I've gotten just like a flood of comments, questions, advice, uh, everything ranging from like the very reasonable to the extraordinarily absurd. So I appreciate everybody's feedback and input, and I'm still trying to work through that situation, but I did want to talk about that some more on this live stream. So if you guys have any questions, then just fire away, and I'm sure I'll get to them eventually. But I also wanted to talk about, what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about some people saying that I was clickbaiting on one of my videos that I did from a couple weeks ago that suddenly picked up some traction on YouTube, and I have an opinion on that, I suppose, that I wanted to talk to you guys about and see what your thoughts were. And then I wanted to talk to you guys about laptops like Thin and Lights, because I reviewed a couple of them recently. I reviewed obviously the Razer Blade, the new Razer Blade, which is my laptop. I use it all the time. And then I just reviewed today, or I released it last night, the review of the Gigabyte Aero 15. And there've actually been a couple of other companies that have reached out to me and wanted to see if I'd like to check out some of their products. Some of these companies you guys have maybe not even heard of, and I wanted to know if there's interest in me continuing to review these thin and light style laptops, because most of them sport the same specs, and the performance differences are not going to be that severe. You're mainly getting the differences you're going to see are in design, aesthetics, build quality, and cooling for the most part. I guess noise too. So, it's kind of the same thing with like looking at graphics cards. Like once you review a couple of them in the same generation, the rest of them are basically going to perform almost identically. It's just a matter of what you like to look at in your case, and maybe a few degrees here or there. So, let me know if you guys still have interest in seeing like more laptop reviews. If you guys like the format, how I do them, because we could definitely get more on the channel. But like I said, they're going to be basically the same kind of machine, and I don't want you guys to get bored with that kind of stuff. So, give me some feedback there, and I guess that's it. So I'm having a drink today. This is straight class right here. This is wine in a can. This is a rosé from Old Westminster Vineyards, Old Westminster Winery, and it is in a camo koozie. So we do it classy here at BPS Customs. That's the rule in the office, keep it classy. So we're doing that, and we're drinking some wine out of a can tonight. So cheers if you guys can join me in having a drink, and you are of legal age. And if not, that's okay too. It is really good, actually. I do enjoy wine out of a can. I don't really know why I enjoy wine out of a can. But actually, speaking of wine, and I just had posted about this on Twitter. Some of you guys may have seen like a day or two ago. I get wacky emails all the time from companies that want to send me products for use in a video or review or whatever else. And a lot of times those products are just completely crazy, like just way out there, like not computer related in any way. And I just say no. I always say no. And most of the time, sometimes I don't even respond. if it's just just so absurd. But I posted something on Twitter the other day because I got an email from a winemaker who wanted to send me some wine, and it was, a little bit different, I guess, than your standard regular wine. And I just flat out said no. I'm not because I wouldn't enjoy it, but because that's not what my channel does. But a lot of you guys were like, take it, like have to let us know how it is. So he emailed me again today, like maybe, I don't know, an hour or two ago, and asked again if I wanted this wine after I had already told him no, just like a day or two ago. So this time I said yes. And what I'm going to do is I plan on, when they send it over, I will open it and I will drink it on live stream. And I will tell you guys what I think of it, whether it's good or bad, or whatever. So it'll be a way for me to review some wine without reviewing some wine. Yeah. All right. So let me just take a peek into the chat and see who's here. So Caught You Gaming, Rodimus, The Wade, MB67, Justin Horton, Danielle Chicharita, Connor Godfrey, Angelo Batista, Rodimus again, Rolly Castro, Zombies, Samuel Stevenson, Old Manian, Middle of Nowhere, Bugs Lovers Tech, John Hepworth. What's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for spending a little bit of time on a Monday evening or a Monday midday, depending on where you are in the world, or perhaps Monday middle of the night. I don't know. I guess that's possible too. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Old Westminster Winery. That's actually local to us. We are members of that winery. And we go there, every once in a while. So it's pretty decent. And it's very close to us. So it is enjoyable. So let's see if you guys have any questions before I get into talking about the Fullscreen thing, which is what I did want to talk about that. Okay, so I guess maybe I'll answer some really quick questions. Zombie says, what's up? I'm looking for a case for my water-cooled build, and I have 4 options in mind. Fantex N2 Elite, Case Labs SMA8A, Singularity Cases Spectre, and Corsair 1000D. Which would you pick? I'd pick the Case Labs. I mean, there's precedent for that on my channel. Like, I've built in Case Labs cases because that's the case of that size and class that I feel is the best. MB67 says, I missed the full screen thing. What happens? Okay, we will get into that. So just to give you, I guess, a brief overview of what happened with Fullscreen. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what Fullscreen is or does, or what an MCN is. Basically, when you have a YouTube channel and you reach the threshold where you can start getting paid by Google for running ads on your videos, they can pay you directly. You could sign up for an AdSense account. They could run the ads. They'll pay you directly, and you get 100% of whatever revenue share you're getting from Google. You will get. There are, however, other things that are necessary for running a channel, for making videos, that you perhaps would need to go and find. Things like music, things like a merchandise store, things like stock photos or stock footage, things like legal help. I know a fair amount of YouTubers who have encountered some legal troubles, whether it be through fair use claims or copyright claims, or something in that realm. And it's always nice to have somebody that's kind of got your back, right? So multi-channel networks sprung up some number of years ago as a way to kind of provide a lot of services to YouTubers, including things like what we just talked about. So, if you have a legal problem, they have a legal department that you could talk to. If you need music, they provide you with, an account with a website where you could download all kinds of copyright-free music. If you need stock footage or stock photos, same thing. If you need a merchandise store like I had. They have a deal with a merchandise outlet where you don't have to front any money and you could put your designs up and they sell them for you. So all of these things taken individually would cost you money. Like if I am without network and I say I need merchandise and I want to approach a merchandise store and they say, okay, well, you have to, if you want to hold inventory, then you need to pay for it up front. Or if you go to a music site and you're like, I need access to all this music. They say, okay, well, it's a monthly subscription fee. It's this amount of dollars. So by partnering with these MCNs, with these large networks who provide you with all of these services, it streamlines the process immensely, so that they take a percentage of your revenue, of your Google AdSense revenue. In exchange, they provide you with all these services. You don't have to worry about paying everybody individually. You don't have to worry about organizing and arranging for these contracts for these separate websites or services. You don't have to worry about if somebody sues you or something like that. You don't have to worry about somebody stealing your content. They help redirect that revenue. So they do provide a lot of essential services. However, recently it seems like a lot of the bigger MCNs, and especially Fullscreen, from a number of people have told me, are trending more towards signing channels. Because I signed when I only had like 5,000 subscribers. So they signed me when I was small, and now I'm like moderate size, I guess, 25,000. So they signed me when I was small, knowing I wasn't generating a lot of revenue for them. And I've been growing steadily since then. Like, the channel has significant growth since then. So it's not like I'm not showing them returns. But they're not really providing me with a lot of care or attention. Like, they basically don't care unless your channel has like, several 100,000 to 1 million subscribers and you're generating them a lot of income. So I've talked to a number of my fairly good friends in this industry and talked to them about MCNs. Some of them go without MCNs, without a network. Some of them have a network but are a much larger entity, much larger channel, so they need all those services. And the consensus is that unless you are really big and you could have a direct line of contact, you could have your own rep with, let's just say, Fullscreen in this case, and they specifically are monitoring your channel, they're helping you, they're looking out for you specifically, then MCNs are not worth it, because the revenue cut that they take is not, it is significant. So, for that cut, especially as the channel gets larger, that percentage cut equates to more and more dollars. So with those dollars, I could now allocate them towards these other services that they're providing me for less money than what they are taking. So Fullscreen the other day decided that they were just going to terminate my contract, and they didn't tell me why. They basically said that I breached either Fullscreen's or YouTube's terms of service, or I was uploading, I forget the exact verbiage, but I said it in the video, it was like inflammatory content or something, but they were just so vague about what that could actually mean. And they would not clarify, despite me asking them to clarify. And they said, you've done something, we won't tell you what it is, but because you've done this thing, we're terminating your contract. So it was upsetting to me to receive. But after I thought about it more and more, the money that I'm going to save by not having to give them a percentage of my AdSense will be fine, it'll be more money than even after I have to pay for these services individually. Like, I've already signed up for a music service, and I got a merchandise store again because YouTube just introduced partnered merchandise. So I could do that through Teespring, and that is also free, or free upfront for me. So now I'm kind of realizing that maybe until I get to be significantly larger, it might be better if I just stick without an MCN, without a network. The only thing that worries me, and I was talking to my dad the other day about this, and the only thing that really worries him is he's like, so what if you get sued? Like, what if you get legal trouble somehow and you have no net? And I mean, I've thought about that. It wasn't just my dad bringing it up. That's the biggest concern. I don't really do anything where I think I would get into legal trouble. So I think I'm on much safer ground than, say, a channel that does like pranks, or something like that, or a React channel or something. Um, but it always, it's in the back of my mind, like, what if something were to happen and I don't have a network to fall back on. But for now, I'm just going to go at it without a network. The way their lack of communication throughout this entire process is enormously frustrating. I would not recommend Fullscreen to anybody right now. I just wanted to talk to somebody directly, and they wouldn't give me a number to call. Every time I emailed, I would get somebody else responding to me. Nobody would answer my questions directly. I still don't have I asked them, like, what's going to happen with my merchandise store. I still don't have an answer. I've followed up with them. They have not told me. So I decided, well, screw it. I'm just gonna go with a different merchandise store now. Like, just gonna shut that one down. I took away all links to that store, so you can't, you guys won't be able to go and find it. Any links that now exist on my channel to a merchandise store are to my new one. So it was really terrible the way they handled it, and I would definitely suggest that if you're a smaller channel, you probably don't need to be partnered. But we'll see what happens as the channel continues to grow, and I feel like I need more support and services or whatever else. So that's what happened with Fullscreen. I hope I explained it sufficiently well for you guys who may not have known the situation. So, but let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'm going to start scrolling through and see if you guys have asked anything in particular about it. Okay. I mean, so just scrolling through here, some people are talking about, like, the laptops, like I wanted to talk about earlier. Rodimus says I was going to say do a side-by-side comparison of who has the best battery and overall build. So yeah, that is definitely something that if I end up doing more laptop reviews, I mean, I always talk about build quality, battery life, stuff like that, and I'll definitely be doing some comparisons there. Never had wine in a can before. Well, sir, you are missing out. I missed a super chat from Old Man Ian. Cocktails, $3.99. Yes, well, I don't know. $3.99 is not going to buy you a very good cocktail. Maybe like a beer or something like that. But thank you very much for the donation. MB67 used to be a systems admin for a company in Napa that owned several wineries. Best job I ever had. Yeah, my wife and I went out to Napa this past summer and had a really great time. Frank D says, now that GPUs are back to MSRP, really thinking about SLI for dual 4K monitors. What do you think? I think that, I mean, if you're gaming on both of them, if you're planning on if you're only gaming on one of those monitors, then that's great. If you're gaming on both of them, that's still not enough GPU horsepower generally. SLI is something that and Crossfire, even though I have built a lot of those systems in the past, is something that I'm more and more shying away from because of incompatibilities. It almost doesn't make sense. Like, you're buying these two extraordinarily expensive items to help you game faster, and a lot of games don't support that anymore. So it almost seems like a waste. Like, I only have one GPU in my system right now because when I had two, it wasn't really giving me any kind of noticeable benefit in the things that I do normally. So video editing, for instance, yes, it was leveraging both. Adobe Premiere does put a load on both GPUs, but all in all, I did a video on this. It doesn't really improve the performance all that much. And as far as games go, like, the game that I play the most is still Doom, which does not use SLI. Or Wolfenstein does not use SLI. So unless I just want to be benchmarking constantly, it didn't really make very much sense for me to use a multi-GPU setup. When I did Project Baron, the original concept was like that a long time ago, and so I was like, I want to put two GPUs in this. It's going to be a massive system. And as soon as I got it up and running, it ran great. I mean, it was an awesome machine. But as far as like the benefits of having two GPUs in there, it was almost more aesthetic than anything else. So I mean, if I can't. It's hard for me to recommend a dual GPU setup for people, especially when the new um, NVIDIA cards are right around the corner. So maybe just wait and save up and buy one really good card. That might be a better solution. Chris Sola says, "Is i3 8350K with a 1050 Ti a good combination for a decent budget gaming PC?" Yeah, that's a great budget gaming PC. I actually wouldn't even, if you don't have the i3, don't buy the 8350K. I would definitely go with, I mean, if you want to stay Intel, go with like the 8100. The 8350K is kind of a waste of money. Um, or if you want to spend the amount that you'd spend on an 8350K and you're not committed to Intel, I would go Ryzen, because the 8350K, from what I remember, is like 175 bucks, and you could get a Ryzen 5 processor for that amount of money. So that's probably your best bet. Darth Baggins says, so we're getting an update about Fullscreen now. Is Linus associated with Fullscreen? So somebody else had asked me something similar about Linus in the comments of the video, and so the last information that I have was that Linus is partnered, and I would imagine a channel of his size is partnered. It can take a lot of advantage of the services they provide, but I don't remember who it was with. I don't remember if it was Fullscreen. It could be. Super chat from Old Man Ian. Sorry, mobile super chat is limited, it says to me. So I don't know if that's your comment or if that's what super chat is putting in here. But if you have a question, definitely let me know. I'll read through it. I'll try to find it. But thank you very much for the $4.99. Shaderade, sorry I missed the beginning. Are you going over why the D-bags dropped you? Yeah. So I guess you must have posted that before I went into my spiel. Darth Baggins says, ask yourself, what would Jay do? Well, as far as I know, Jay is also a Fullscreen partner, so we may find out what Jay does if they decide to drop him. Perspective says, you supposedly infringed upon other people's rights according to that email. Yes, that's what they said in the email. That was what was almost, I couldn't really comprehend what exactly they meant by that, because in the grand scheme of things, like the scope of what is on YouTube, my channel is on the mildest end of mild. And I hardly can imagine how I might have infringed on others' rights. But that is what they told me, but they would not tell me how I did that. There are quite a few no copyright music channels and distributors nowadays. Yes, that's true. However, those channels tend to be a little more limited compared to what the catalog that I am used to. I use different music in every one of my videos, and oftentimes every video has multiple tracks in it, whether it's just background tracks or tracks during like benchmarking slides or tracks while I'm doing a build time lapse or whatever it is. So the site that I ended up signing up for is called Epidemic Sound. It's actually the same site that I was getting through Fullscreen. So I was able to maintain staying with Epidemic Sound. They have like 30,000, 35,000 tracks, all different genres of music. They're really good, and the rate is really reasonable. So monthly rate is fine. I'm fine paying that individually. Noah Navarro says, in my perspective, if the MCN won't answer or give you a representative to speak with, it's because they dropped you for some reason they can't properly justify. I agree with you. I don't think that they have a real reason. I think that there was just some kind of a purge happening. I know it happened to a couple other channels as well, and they received very similar, if not exactly the same email. So it's possible they were just trying to cleanse their slate of creators. I don't know why they Not to sound full of myself, I don't know why they would drop me, however, because they signed me when I was smaller than I am now and growing at a slower rate than I am now and bringing them in much less money than I am now. I would think that if you see a channel that is growing and increasing its viewership constantly, then that's a channel you'd want to keep, but I don't know. So maybe they just said anybody under X subscribers is getting dumped or something. I don't know. Okay. Rodrigo Santos, I'm upgrading a 5-year-old i5 to an R5 2600, and I have a question about storage. I've only owned hard drives my whole life, and I have a tight budget. Do I get a 240 gig NVMe SSD or a 480 gig SATA SSD? I mean, I would imagine you have some storage left over from your old build, so that, and you're gonna kind of port that over, like your old hard drive, and just use that for mass storage, and you just want like a boot drive. I think for your first foray into SSDs, it might be worth it to have a little more storage available to you on your boot drive. So, like, if you get a 480, you could put Windows on there and a couple of your most frequently used programs. The boot speed difference between NVMe and SATA is noticeable, but you're talking like 15 or 20 seconds versus 10 or 12 seconds. Like, it's not, yes, it's a significantly more amount of time percentage wise, but in terms of like your lifetime, it's not really that big of a deal. And you would get more storage that way to work with, which might be beneficial for you, and you might appreciate that, never having had an SSD before. I would probably go 480. Middle of Nowhere wants to know what audio service I ended up going with. That was Epidemic Sound. Weston Barr, glad I could catch a stream watching from work. Well, I hope you're not getting too distracted. You have work to do, sir. Someone mentioned that me getting dropped by the MCN could have been the Intel 8086 video, and that was actually a very common thread in the comments of my my full screen video, and I don't think that that's true. I don't. People make, even if you could classify that content as being offensive, people make offensive content on YouTube all the time, and nothing happens to them. I don't think that and it's not like that video got flagged by YouTube, and YouTube is notorious for just auto flagging videos it thinks might be inappropriate. So my MCN is not in the business of reviewing every video that I make. If that video for some reason caught their eye, that would be really strange to me. So everybody saying it's the 8086 video, I could see your point, but I think likely that is not the case. John Fiedler wants to know, how is Baron doing? Baron is completely disassembled, and it is on shelves over there, except for the SMA8, which is behind my bar in storage. Oh man, there's a lot of comments. If you had to choose AMD or Intel, what would you pick? So that's I find that to be a silly question. There's no reason to have to choose. We're not playing Desert Island game in real life here. You can pick whichever one suits your needs better. So do the evaluation yourself for your use case and pick accordingly. I don't have to make that choice, and I'm glad that I don't have to make that choice because I use both of them. Noob Plays says, is an R9 270 still worth it? Still worth it for what? And at what price? Those things matter. Justin Wilkinson says, hard to believe Jay sticks around and you don't. He's way more controversial than you. He is, but he also has and it's not like I'm going away. Like the channel will stay here. I'll continue to make videos. It's just that I have to deal with a lot of behind the scenes drama, which is really unfortunate. And I'm hoping that it doesn't affect my revenue, because they when you sign the contract with the MCN, they redirect all the revenue from Google AdSense to Fullscreen, and then you get paid, instead of by Google, you get paid by Fullscreen. So I've revoked their rights to my channel's information. However, I don't know exactly how the revenue redirect works. I hope that it gets cut off and that they are no longer in control of that. I don't think they are, but I've never been through this before. So that's what I'm most worried about, I think. But as far as Jay goes, yeah, he's more controversial, but he's also a much bigger channel, and I think he's probably got a lot more leeway with his partners. Zephram says, I'm not sure how you're not losing your cool about this Fullscreen stuff. I'd be burning down their offices by now. Well, I mean, you guys weren't privy to how I took it initially, which was, like, as I said in the video, I was sitting on the couch. My wife and I were sitting on the sofa just watching TV, and I got an email from them, and so I kind of freaked out. Like, I mean, I've never been fired from a job before, and literally the first line of that email is like, "You've been terminated." So I was like, "What does this even mean? Why did this happen? I don't understand." And then reading the email just made me more confused and upset. So yeah, I mean, losing my mind might be a strong way to to describe what happened. I wasn't like running around the house yelling and screaming, but I was pretty upset for a little while, and it's been when did that happen? Tuesday, Wednesday of last week. So it's been almost a week. So I've had time to think about it and cool down. So I'm okay, but thank you. All right, scrolling down. Keep it going. Darth Baggins says, well, at least you have Patreon too. I do have Patreon, and I want to say thank you to all the people who have become patrons. For those of you guys who don't know, and I'm not going to get into a big Patreon thing here, you guys know I have a Patreon. If you want to support through Patreon, the links are available. But I'm going to do a giveaway. Once we hit 25 patrons, those 25 patrons are going to be eligible for a giveaway. So I'm trying to incentivize people. I'm trying to make the people who become patrons have it be worth it for them. And I hope that you guys are getting some value out of it. I'm trying to do like some behind the scenes stuff, some like little interactive stuff. I mean, we also have the Discord channel, which I'm on a lot. Although, you know, I can't be on all the time. So I'm trying to make that worth it for people. And I hope that it is. I hope you guys are feeling like your support is not only benefiting me, but benefiting you. So Perspective says, you know what? I had a conversation with a business partner yesterday about this, I think the Fullscreen situation, and we came up with that suspicion too. They were probably just downsizing considering how big their larger guys got. It's possible. It's a huge company. It's the biggest or one of the biggest networks out there. So they're juggling a lot of balls, I would imagine, and maybe they just decided to cut ties with the smaller channel, their smaller partners. I'm not sure. If that was the case, though, they could have just said that in the email. Like, I would have accepted that. I'm sorry, we're downsizing. We're, you know, some of our smaller creators, and we're not able to support anymore. Okay, I'm fine with that. Like, it's not the greatest situation, but okay, at least that's a real explanation. Like, at least that really means something to me. This was just kind of like, you infringed on rights. You broke terms of service. Did I? I don't think I did. Man, I hate when I try to scroll down the comments and then it's instead of scrolling, it just jumps. I'm trying to find where I was. New Place says your stream looks really good. Oh, thanks, man. This is Sony A7 III with the 28mm f2 lens. So this is a different lens than last time. Last time was the kit lens. This is a 28mm f2. Um, so trying to keep the stream buttery smooth and nice and crispy on my face, so you guys can see all my freckles and crow's feet or whatever else I got going on. But thank you very much. um, okay. Awala21 says, hi, do you think everyone who invested in Kaby Lake be mad at Intel for Coffee Lake CPUs? No, I don't think everyone is. I'm sure that there are some people who are upset about it, but at the same time, I mean, when you buy a piece of technology that it will be outclassed soon. I mean, it used to, back in the day, the cycle was 6 months, so now you get a lot more time out of your processors. But I mean, you had to know if you bought a 7700K that Intel would come out with an 8700K at some point. It just happened maybe a little sooner than you may have thought. But I don't think everybody. I mean, for the most part, for the vast majority of the consumer base, a 7700K is more processor than they need. So I'm sure that a lot of people who got one are just fine with that decision. And it's still a really good gaming chip. I don't get sampled from Intel. Intel does not sample me anything. So any Intel parts I have, I buy. And I had a 7700K. That was my test bench CPU up until like a couple of weeks ago when I took that away and I sold it. I try to only sell the parts that I personally pay for, that I buy. And that was one of them. So I'm like, I'm not using it for a test bench anymore. I'm probably not going to use it in any build anymore because that's not current generation. So I might as well try to sell it and recoup some of that to try to buy other stuff for the channel, like, newer processors or graphics cards. So that's what I did. But yeah, that only recently came off my test bench. It's still a really good CPU. Samuel Stevenson says, for me, I'd pay $100 more for a Vega 56 versus a 1070 because of G-Sync costing so much. And that's an interesting perspective, and I don't know that I've ever actually heard somebody argue it that way before, but that's a good way to look at it. Like, if you're like, I need a graphics card and I need a monitor to go with it. Well, you could pay $200 extra for a G-Sync monitor, or you could pay $0 extra for a FreeSync monitor. So you get that $200 leeway, and you'll pay a little bit more for your card, but all in all, you'll get a similar performance and, the adaptive sync technology. That's a really good way to evaluate it. Old Man Ian, I'm listening from the car. Greetings from the New Jersey Turnpike. Well, man, as a native New Yorker and somebody who, when he moved to Maryland, was still dating a girl from New York and still had family in New York, and even to this day, still goes up to New York quite a bit. I am quite familiar with the New Jersey Turnpike, and I am sorry that you are on it right now. Fernando F says, could drinking alcoholic beverages be a problem with Fullscreen terms of service? I don't know. The only time I ever read that contract was when I signed it. I haven't read it since, and that was a long time ago. So, I don't know. I don't think so, but sure, it could be. You might be right. That would be really interesting if my live streams got me in trouble. But yeah, I guess that's possible. But I would think that they'd be able to tell me that. But either way. Jacques Allers says, did the YouTube demonetization get a little better? It has gotten a good amount better, actually. Although it seems like every time I talk about it, it gets worse. So hopefully, there's nothing on YouTube that flags that word, which I'm not going to say again. And if it sees you talking about it, starts doing that to all your videos again. But no, it has gotten significantly better. Only very few videos now have that happen to them, so that's really good. But it does happen every once in a while. Chris, so I'm just reading through these comments, and I see a question from Chris Stein, and I want to read it to make a point, I guess. Um, First of all, he says greetings from Sussex, New Jersey. So, what's up, NJ? But he says, do you think the new Intel 8-core Z390 will beat a 2700X? And do you think AMD is holding out a superclocked 2800X to compete? And it's questions and theories and postulation like this that get people in trouble. Not necessarily in trouble. Get people kind of running around in a circle as far as what they should buy, what they should hold out for, what's coming, what's next. I don't have any information on the Intel 8-core Z390 chip. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much been confirmed that it's coming, but I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know how it's going to perform. It might be down. They might have to downclock it severely to be able to fit it into that same size socket, or the same LGA 1151 socket. I've never heard anything about a 2800X. So don't worry about rumors, and unless they're really really solid rumors, like the 8086K rumors. They were real. Like, that chip was coming. So don't worry yourself about theoretical possible products. Concern yourself with what is definitely here and now, and you could test and buy and go out and use. So I'm not going to speculate on that kind of stuff. Alan W, would you need to fresh install? Oh crap, lost my place. Where'd you go, Alan? There you are. Would you need to fresh install Windows while changing motherboard and processor X370 to X470? So I've had a lot of success not, but the reason that I don't is for time savings. Like, if I don't necessarily need to, if I need a system up and running really quickly, I have SSDs here that have Windows and a lot of programs on them that I just plug in, and most of the time they work. Windows does like a little self-updating thing, and then all of a sudden it works. But if it was my system at home and if I was rebuilding everything with a fresh CPU and fresh motherboard, I would probably just reinstall Windows. It's the better way to go. Middle of nowhere. Lived in Maryland. I lived in Maryland for about 4 years while attending grad school at University of Baltimore. Oh, neat. And then a year more while working. I lived about 3 blocks north of Penn Station. That's a great area up there, actually. It's being gentrified to the point where I really like being like gentrification. I guess is a little controversial because like you don't want to take a regular neighborhood and turn it into a super expensive neighborhood where nobody can afford to live. But at the same time, you're cleaning it up. You're adding nice restaurants and places to go out and shop and making it a place that people want to be. So that area up there is turning into a real nice spot. MB67 Brian, so you won't be sampling an Asus 4K 144Hz HDR $2,000 monitor. I haven't asked for one. I can certainly talk to JJ and see if he wants to send me one. I don't think so. If I did, it would just be like on temporary loan, which is a possibility, I guess. But I actually didn't really have any plans to do that. And the reason why is that has all the specs that I want, but the size is too small. So if that's something that I was going to go out and purchase, I wouldn't be able to use it. Like, I use a 34-inch ultra wide right now, and I want to go bigger. I actually want to get more. I'd like to do like a 38-inch, like the upcoming LG panel, which I forget the nomenclature for, but it's a 5K ultra wide, and that's kind of what I want to go to. Not a, I don't need to shrink my monitor right now. I need the real estate for editing long timelines. So 27 inches is just not going to cut it, unfortunately. Rodrigo Santos, are you following FIFA World Cup? If so, which team are you rooting for? So, yes, I am following the World Cup. Um, I, um, I mean, clearly, I would root for the United States if they were in it, but they had an awful qualifying, and they did not make it. And so right now, I am not up to date like today on what happened today, but I would have liked to see Iceland do well. As weird as that sounds, as random as that sounds. Unfortunately, they had, I think they lost to who the heck did they lose to? No, I can't remember who they lost to. So they have like a loss and a draw. I think they have to win to get in. In any event, I have a lot of in-laws that are Portuguese, so I'll be rooting for Portugal as well. Bugs Lover says Jay and Barnacules got sloshed a few times on stream. It was epic. Yeah, and nothing happened to them, so I don't know. So Patty Bear, I don't really know if you're talking about me or not. And you also had okay. I guess I'm gonna have to block you. If you're calling me a pedophile. So see ya, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I don't know anybody who read that comment. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. Matt Shell Pay just joined, but what MCN is our Kyle, Paul, and maybe join with them there with Fullscreen. Okay. Sorry, my usual moderator is not here, so I'm having to delete some comments as we go. All right. Okay, so something else I wanted to talk about was the people like accusing me of clickbaiting, and I did a video. I guess it was like 2 months ago now, maybe, where I built like a Craigslist PC. I went on Craigslist. I went out and bought some stuff myself. Spent $350. Bought a GTX 970 powered gaming PC, and played like Fortnite and played Far Cry 5 with it and whatever else. And it was great. I actually really, really enjoyed doing that project. And every once in a while, like on YouTube, when you have a channel, you have a video that gets a good amount of views and then stops. I mean, view totals fall off as the video gets older. For some reason, sometimes YouTube starts recommending videos to people, even though they are older. So this is what must have happened with this this $350 Craigslist PC video, because all of a sudden I started getting all these comments on it, and I went back and I looked, and the view count had just spiked. So I'm not really sure. Hold on. Yeah, hey Rodimus, I'm gonna mod you. Please take care of people who are spamming in here. I don't really know what's going on with this today. Okay, so Rodimus, please, if you could, take care of some things in chat, because I don't know what's going on with some people. Anyway, so what the hell was I talking about? What was I talking about? Oh, clickbait. So this video ended up like getting a whole bunch of views in a very short period of time. And when that happens, it's a lot of people who are viewing your content who are not familiar with your channel. And a lot of people are kind of out of left field, like people who might not even be familiar with the tech space. So I got a lot of people commenting saying that I was clickbaiting them because the thumbnail had a picture that included like the box that I bought with the GTX 970. The guy gave me a GTX 1080 Ti box, and in it was the 970. And he said, "I just bought this 1080 Ti. It's the only box I had. Here you go." So that's what I put in the video, in the thumbnail. I understand how that could be construed as clickbait because the title was like, Fortnite PC for $350, and people see 1080 Ti and they're like, how do you get a 1080 Ti for $350? And that's not what I bought. But I did buy the box. So I wanted to just say that, I'm sorry if people felt like they were clickbaited there. That is the item that I purchased. There was no ill intent in me making that thumbnail. I just put all the parts on the table and I took a picture of them, and that was the thumbnail. So I'm sorry if people felt clickbaited. That was not my intent. However, I understand why you might be upset, I guess. Although, in the end, did you really think I was getting a 1080 Ti for $350? Because that's slightly unreasonable anyway. So I'd actually like to see... what you guys thought about that. I don't know if you guys felt clickbaited by that video at all. So, yeah, I never felt clickbaited. Okay, well that's good. Let me scroll back up. A lot of messages getting deleted. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, good. Yeah, some people say I didn't feel clickbaited. I was not trying to clickbait people. I mean, it didn't really make much sense for me to do that because, I mean, in any event, I don't do that on my channel generally. I'm not really in it to try to clickbait people, to try to fool them into watching my videos. I want them to want to watch the video. So, but I was getting a lot of that feedback. So, yeah, sorry if you felt that way, and if if you didn't, I'm glad, because that means you probably understand what you were about to watch anyway. All right. All right. So let me scroll up. Let me see all these deleted comments. I don't really understand. I guess every once in a while, just people kind of flood in here and start making weird comments or something. Darth Baggins asks, a GTX 970 is still a good GPU overall for 1080p gaming. I don't know if you were asking that or telling that, but yeah, it actually still really is. Like it still handles 1080p gaming just fine. Like it performs just slightly slower than a 1060, which is a great 1080p card. Danman 1012, did you see the B&H photo bundle deal? Still for sale. For the Win 3 Elite Red. A meh case, so I guess that's probably like their DG77 or something. A solid PC, solid power supply, a power link, and a 240 AIO for $899. That seems fantastic. If you need all that stuff, I would definitely go ahead and buy it. And For the Win 3 is one of the best 1080 Ti's out there for sure. New plays, I appreciate your support, man. Trying to get everybody to leave positive comments. I really appreciate it. I generally, like I've said this before, like for the most part, the people who are subscribed to the channel and who watch my content regularly are awesome. Like you guys are great. Like most of the time, it's like, it's people having intelligent discussions. Every once in a while, like somebody gets out of line, and that's bound to happen. We're on the internet, but you know, for the most part, we've got a really good community here. So, but thank you very much, New Plays. Jacques asks, do you think board makers like Asus or MSI are happy with a long-lasting platform like AM4? It means people don't need to buy new motherboards as often. I think they actually are really happy because people aren't hesitant to buy. They're not hesitant to buy in. So they, like when AM4 first came out, when Ryzen first came out, you couldn't keep the boards and chips in stock anywhere. So those things were flying off the shelves. And even now, like they went from X370 to X470. That refresh is going to cause people to buy. You have the new 2000 series chips, which again, people are going to buy the newer chips and motherboards to use them with. I think that they're fine with it. They see people being loyal to AMD now and wanting to stay with that platform long term. So that means they're probably going to invest in a board now and another board later, probably the same manufacturer. Because people are just kind of like that, like general consumers. So I think that they're fine with that. Janu Vlogs Gaming, how do you speed up your laptop? Have an Aero 15X. Please answer 3. You want 3 answers or 1 answer? How do you speed up your laptop? So that's an odd question. If you're playing unplugged, which I wouldn't recommend necessarily gaming while unplugged, there's a setting where you can turn off like the throttling mode that happens when you unplug it. You also make sure you're in performance mode. The NVIDIA drivers, that's the like GeForce experiences where you turn off like battery saver, and then you run at full frame rates even when you're on battery. As far as speeding it up beyond that, I mean, you could try to overclock it if your laptop supports that, but that's about it. Mosin says, should I buy a 1080 Ti or a 1080 for $250 cheaper? You make that choice, man. I don't know. What's worth it to you? That's $750 versus $500. Those are the retail costs of those cards. So that's not a special deal. Do you have the cash? Do you want the more performance? Then get the 1080 Ti. Crispy Weeb, I like small streams like this, easy to read, chat, and interact. Yes, I'm glad I don't have a huge viewer base that's blowing up this chat so that I can read as many comments as I can. Janu Vlogs keeps asking me about his Aero 15X. I hope I answered your question, sir. Bugs Lover says, I watch your videos regardless of the thumbnail. Thanks, I appreciate that, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people look... Thumbnails are important. Like, it's regardless of like how good you think the content might be, thumbnails are what catches people's attention. I mean, there's been studies on it, so I try to make my thumbnails appealing. My thumbnails appealing while still being relevant. Middle of nowhere, how did you get into tech tubing? This is actually something that I have answered on stream before, but like a while ago. So I'll give you the 30-second version. I've been a custom computer builder for a long time, and that like when I lived back in New York, and then when I moved to Maryland. But when I moved to Maryland, I didn't really have any client base anymore because I was basically like word of mouth up in New York. So in order to kind of like as kind of like an advertisement for my services, I started to do tech YouTubing. I was like, maybe this will kind of get my name out there. Like people will ask me to do custom systems. So I started to put videos out that were awful. Like the first couple of videos I released were just so bad. But just basically it bad and like bad, poorly filmed and framed and edited and everything else. The content was fine. I was probably really stiff on camera too, but I was trying to like say, hey, this is me. I know, I could help you guys out. I could show you how to do this and that. Let me give you some tips and how to build this. And oh, by the way, I offer custom build services. Contact me if you want to know more. So that's kind of how it started, as kind of an advertisement for my custom building service, and then as it grew, it became more like, well, now the business is just the YouTube channel. I don't do custom builds anymore for people. I do not have the time. And it's unfortunate because I did like doing that, but that part of the business has kind of died. And now, because I just have so many review videos and stuff like that to do, that I cannot dedicate that time to doing these custom builds, which is unfortunate. But that's kind of what the business has morphed into, is now the business is the YouTube channel as opposed to the business being the custom building aspect. So good question. Fred Moore says, I'm here to learn from more experienced people than me. Well, I mean, there's always somebody who's more experienced. There's a lot that I still need to learn, and I try to absorb it as much as I can. Like, I'm trying to learn every day. I don't know everything, and I am very much aware of that. Rodrigo Santos says, do you also buy tons of cheap games during the Steam sales and never play them? I don't actually. I have a lot of items on my Steam wish list that I've gotten emails on because now they're discounted, and I don't buy them. The only games that I really buy now, as sad as it may sound, are games that I use for benchmarking. So when there's a new game that comes out that I'm like, ooh, that's a really good benchmark. Like Far Cry 5 is the last one. It's got a really good built-in benchmark. And so, yeah, I bought that one. But now it's just like I game so rarely that I don't go ahead and just binge on Steam, because I wouldn't do anything with those games, unfortunately. Got a super chat from Robert Schmoyer. What's up, my man? Just checking in while working in the 108-degree weather. By the way, YouTube app is not letting me do even amounts. Well, that's okay. Thank you very much for the $4.99. 108 degrees. Where are you? You must be on the West Coast somewhere, or Las Vegas or something. That's crazy. That's brutal. I'm sitting in my house. It is air conditioned here, sir. Thank you very much for the donation. Kevin Smith says, would you do a review of the iGo cases? I can only find foreign reviews. You've seen one before on the pre-built in your video. Is the iGo Atlantis. Yeah, so iGo reached out to me, and I'm actually going to be using one of their AIOs in June's monthly build video, which is, I still have 6 days to get out, which may or may not happen. I'm not sure. But yeah, they reached out to me about doing some content with their products, and I actually specifically told them I did not want to review their case. So that case is based on the same frame, same chassis as like the oh, now I'm gonna forget. There's an Enermax case. What the hell is it called? I feel now I feel terrible. Oh, the Mean at 5 p.m., the Entities AI Crystal, those cases. Same chassis, same concept. That's the iGo Atlantis as well. I have made it a point to not do any more reviews of those cases. I reviewed like 3 of them already, and it's the same case over and over again, so I'm not going to do another review on it. But when I looked at it, when I did the review of that pre-built system, it was nice. I liked the front panel. The front panel was really nice. But the case, the interior layout, the features and stuff, it's kind of the same as I've seen over and over again, and I've made it a point to not do any more of those reviews. Okay. Bugs Lover says, will you ever consider getting a P.O. box? Be cool if we could send you things you could open on stream. Yeah, I've considered it. I've actually had some people ask me if they could send me some things, and I've said no because I don't have a PO box. But maybe I'll look into that. That would be something fun. I could definitely do that on stream. So I'll let you guys know on Twitter if I do get one. And I don't know. Maybe when I'm done with this, I guess we're almost done here. But when I'm done with the stream, maybe I'll look into the cost. I actually don't know how much a PO box costs. But if I do get one, yes, I will publish that address and I'll open up some stuff. Don't send me anything gross. Uh, okay. Smunserve Mickey D's says, I have a question. If you pair, say, MSI X479 M7 with an APU, is there a way to go around the fact that M7 has no display ports? I assume you mean the MSI's X470 M7 board. If a board has no display ports on it, then you're not going to be able to output any video signal from your APU. That's the bottom line, unfortunately. So I guess that's kind of it. Like I did want to talk briefly about thin and light laptops, but I kind of touched on that at the beginning of the stream. Just want to make sure that you guys are satisfied with the way I cover laptops, like how the reviews come out. If I'm touching on all the points that you feel necessary to look at for a laptop review, um, but I might take on some more of those, depending on if you guys want to see that or not. So that I guess that's probably kind of it, guys. 6:16 p.m. here. I have not yet eaten dinner. I think I'm gonna go and do that. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into getting a PO box. Bugs Lover says he's gonna send me some wine, so that's a definite reason to do it. But thanks, guys, so much for the donations. Thank you for hanging out, asking questions. Thank you, Rodimus, for taking over emergency moderator duties. I'm going to leave you as a mod, so for future streams, feel free to hop in here and do what you got to do, within reason, please. Yeah, man, thanks so much to Rodimus. Thank you very much to everybody watching. Thank you for the questions, and I am out. I'm gonna go eat some food. Thanks, guys. Take care. Wait, what's coming? What am I doing on Thursday? Thursday's video is the razor blade follow-up 1 month follow-up video with 10. I answered 10 questions about the blade. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.